You've been told that jet fuel comes out of the ground, that a plane will always, no matter what, need oil. So here is something that should not be possible. In a lab in China, researchers have made jet fuel out of almost nothing but AIR and water. Not a headline exaggeration, but real fuel in the jet fuel range, built from carbon dioxide pulled out of the sky and hydrogen split out of water. And the oil industry's answer came back fast and firm. Cute science experiment, they said, but it will never scale. Here's the strange part. They are half right. And the half they're right about tells you exactly why they want you to believe it. To understand how this is even possible, forget everything dramatic about oil for a second and look at what jet fuel actually is. Underneath the branding, it's just a particular arrangement of two of the most common atoms on Earth, carbon and hydrogen, linked into long chains. That's it. Normally, we get those chains the lazy way. We drill down to pockets of crude oil, which is really just ancient plants and plankton that got cooked underground for 100 million years, and we refine that sludge into fuel. But those chains don't know or care where their carbon and hydrogen came from. And carbon and hydrogen are not rare. There is carbon floating in the air around you right now, locked inside carbon dioxide. There is hydrogen in every single drop of water. So in principle, you could skip the oil well completely, pull the carbon out of the air, pull the hydrogen out of water, and stitch them together into the exact same fuel molecule without ever touching a drop of crude. That is what making jet fuel from air and water really means. It's not alchemy, it's closer to running a fire in reverse, taking the smoke and the water that burning normally throws off and forcing them back into fuel. So how do you actually do it? It comes down to two moves. First, you split water using electricity, tearing each molecule apart to harvest the hydrogen. Then you capture carbon dioxide, either straight out of the open air or from a factory's exhaust. Now you have your two ingredients, and the last step is to make them combine using metal catalyst and heat to snap the carbon and hydrogen into long fuel chains. That last trick is actually old, a version of a process chemists worked out back in the 1920s. What's new is how good China's scientists have gotten at aiming it straight at jet fuel. A team at the Guangzhou Institute of Energy Conversion published a catalyst that turns carbon dioxide into jet fuel range molecules with up to 75% of the output landing right in that range, sailing past what the old process was ever supposed to manage. Another team from the Chinese Academy of Sciences ran their version for 800 hours straight without it wearing out, which is the gap between a party trick and something you could actually build a business on. And it is starting to crawl out of the laboratory. A company in Shanghai finished a 100-ton demonstration line in early 2026 that pulls its carbon dioxide directly out of the air, and it has already broken ground on a bigger pilot. Their roadmap steps up from that 100-ton line to a 1,000-ton pilot, and then to a plant meant to turn out 10,000 tons a year by 2027. Each stage is a real funded project, not just a press release. Now let me be dead honest about the scale, because this is exactly where people get fooled. These are lab breakthroughs and small pilot plants. Nobody in China or anywhere else is pumping this stuff out by the millions of tons. Not yet. The chemistry genuinely works. The part nobody has cracked is doing it cheaply, enormously, and fast. But even a lab result matters here, and to see why, you have to understand why aviation is the nightmare of clean energy. Almost everything else has an answer. Cars can go electric. Trains run on wires. Even those giant cargo ships can switch to new fuels. But a passenger jet is trapped. A battery big enough to carry a full plane across an ocean would be so heavy the plane could never leave the ground. The physics simply refuses. So aviation is stuck needing a liquid fuel you can pour into a wing, and for a century that has meant oil, full stop, no alternative. That is why fuel from air and water is such a big deal. It is the first real answer to the one piece of the puzzle almost everyone had quietly given up on. Every other clean energy win, the electric car, the solar panel, the wind farm, still left the airplane sitting there as the one thing that stubbornly would not change. Solving it takes the hardest problem in the entire clean energy transition off the table. And it does something even bigger than cleaning up flying. Think about what fuel has always been. It's something you can only have if you happen to sit on the right patch of ground, or you can afford to buy from someone who does. Fuel made from air, water, and electricity is a different kind of thing entirely. Any country with sunlight and a coastline could make its own. It turns a tap that a handful of nations have controlled for 100 years into something you could build in your own desert. That is a shift in who actually holds power, and it reaches far past chemistry. Which brings us back to the oil industry and their calm little line, it will never scale. Here's the honest truth. Right now, they are correct. Making fuel this way is brutally expensive, several times the price of ordinary jet fuel, and the process is greedy, swallowing something like 3 to 5 units of clean electricity for every single unit of fuel that comes back out. The amount made this way today is a rounding error against what the world's planes actually burn. So, as a snapshot of this exact moment, it can't scale is simply true. But look hard at what that sentence is really doing. It can't scale is not the same as it doesn't work, because it plainly does work. It can't scale is a claim about the price of clean electricity and whether anyone decides to build the factories. So when the oil industry says it, look closely at who is saying it. This is an industry that has watched cars go electric and felt the ground shift under its feet, but always told itself that planes at least would need it forever. Fuel from air is the first thing that threatens the one market it thought was its own for good. So it says the magic words, "it can't scale," and quietly hopes you decide it's impossible before anyone bothers to prove otherwise. If you can hear what is really hiding underneath a phrase like, "it will never scale," then you think exactly like the people this channel is for. Subscribe, and I will keep pulling apart the exact moment where real science and somebody's business interests quietly go their separate ways. Let me be crystal clear before anyone runs off with this. This is early. The chemistry is proven in labs and tiny pilot plants, not in any refinery fueling real airlines. It would take mountains of cheap, clean electricity that simply do not exist yet. And at today's prices, it is far too costly to fill a single passenger jet. Nobody's next flight is running on air, but the door that everyone swore was bolted shut is now unmistakably open. So picture this. Carbon pulled from the sky, hydrogen pulled from water, snapped into the fuel that flies you home. No oil well anywhere. It works in a lab today. The only real question left is whether we build it out or let the people who profit from the old way talk us out of trying. So tell me in the comments, when they say it cannot scale, are you hearing a fact or a warning wearing a lab coat?